IMG Academy started out as Bollettieri Tennis Academy back in the 1970s. Nick Bollettieri, the world-renowned tennis coach, wanted to build an academy, and he moved from the northern part of the United States to an island just outside the city. It wasn't until the 1980s that he came and took some acres of tomato fields and made tennis courts. In the mid-80s, late 80s, IMG came and brought 51%. And then the academy started to grow. First of all with the golf academy, then baseball, then boys soccer and girls soccer, finally basketball, football, lacrosse, and then we're the newest sport, track and field and cross country. I'm the founding coach. So I was working here many years ago, 15 years ago, as the director of the International Performance Institute. And then I had an opportunity to start my own business, a big franchise called Velocity Sports Performance, where we worked with young athletes, teaching them how to be faster and how to improve their athleticism so they could get off the bench, get into the game, play more, love sport, and play the rest of their lives. So they said, maybe you could come back for a seminar. And then they said, how about staying for 2 months and working with the professional football players? That was 5 years ago. And so it was time for me to go, and they said, how can we get you to stay? We know, we'll build you a track. And I thought, yeah, right. Here's our beautiful track right now outside. So this is one of the reasons why I am here at IMG Academy working with track and field. It's when I was growing up as a young athlete in Wisconsin, which is very far north in the United States, we did all sports. And so my best sport was ice hockey. I was a goalkeeper and I played at the University of Wisconsin until I spent too much time on ice hockey and not enough time on studying. And so I rehabilitated my grade point average, and I went into playing soccer, which was maybe my third best sport at the time. I captained the University of Wisconsin Soccer Club for 3 years. But I also ran track at the state level in Wisconsin and played American football as well as baseball and basketball. Here's how I really decided I would maybe work in track and field. I was working in a restaurant as a chef, and the girl in the salad department asked me if I would teach her how to throw the discus. She was the sister of one of my colleagues on the high school football team. And so I went 1 day a week to start to teach her how to throw the discus, because I did hurdling and decathlon. And then I coached all the throwers at the high school, then all the jumpers and the throwers, then all the sprinters, hurdlers, jumpers, and throwers. And 4 years later, they won the state championship, and I was hired as an assistant coach at the University of Wisconsin, which is where I went to school. This is our third season. Our first season, we had 2 boys, one from Qatar and one from Egypt, and they were distance runners. And then the next season, last year, we had 13, and now we have 20 full-time track and field athletes from 5 different countries. Yeah, our track and field academy is from 13 to 19. And they're from many different countries: Suriname, Italy, England, and Panama, for example. But our professional team that trains here is about 16 athletes. Again, we have one from Russia, Daria, of course, and then many different countries, from Brazil, 2 from Italy. We have one from Great Britain. So we are really truly the United Nations of track and field, especially when you add the Chinese national men's and women's 4x100 meter relay team, as well as Li Jinzhui, who is the best long jumper in China. We have also a great program called English as a Second Language, and many of our international professionals take advantage of this so that they can speak another language and get better in English, which makes the communication process easier. The Chinese national team, for example, they send a translator, and who is the former national record holder in the high jump, and she has done a wonderful job. But many of the Chinese athletes are learning how to speak English now too. The atmosphere of the team is one that I've created a culture with many of the groups that I've worked with over the years, and that it's a very harmonious Everyone is getting along. And the key points to this is everyone is very motivated to be excellent. They all have high aspirations of achievement. They want to win a medal at the World or Olympic Games. The other thing is that they're all very positive and they're hard workers. And so we work hard, but then they like to play hard also. So I was a professional chef for 13 years and I loved to cook. And so almost every night I have 2, 3, last night it was 5 athletes having dinner at my place. We had 30, our whole team, coaches and athletes, 30 people in my house for Thanksgiving. They go do things, they go to the movies together, they go to bowling together. And so there is a quite good friendship, quite a good camaraderie, which is extremely important in a big meet like the Olympic Games because you have support from not only your country and your country's coaches, but all of your teammates. So it's all quite easy. Here's the point where you would think there would be a problem, is when you have 2 athletes that are among the best in the world and they're in the same event. And so last year, for example, Daria, very top long jumper in the world. Tiana Bartoletta was also a top long jumper. And in the years before, they worked together. They worked together in training, they worked together in competition. And last year, Daria's help allowed Tiana to jump 7 meters 14 and win the World Championships in Beijing. But if I'm not here or one of our jumping coaches is not here, they will take each other's telephone and use Dartfish Express, which is a video software. So Daria will film Tiana on Tiana's phone. Tiana was filming Daria on Daria's phone, and then they talk about it. So they're learning about their event. They're going to be such good coaches if they want to do this once they're finished competing. I'm not the only coach, thank heavens, because it would be a lot of work otherwise. I've had the very good fortune to be able to attract some of the best coaches in the world. We just brought Todd Henson in, who was formerly the coach at the United States Olympic Training Center. I put him in Germany at Germany's Olympic Training Center in Saarland. He was there for 7 years and coached some of Germany's best athletes. I was able to bring him back and he was ready to come back. But he's an excellent coach in sprinting, hurdling, as well as jumping, especially pole vaulting. And so he is one of my top assistants. Rob Jarvis was the former coach at UCLA, famous university in California. He was working with combined events, so heptathlon, decathlon, as well as jumping events. We have another coach, Kibwe Johnson. He's one of the few men who have ever thrown 65 meters in the discus and 80 meters in the hammer. This is his final try at the Olympics, maybe to get a medal. He was a finalist in London in 2012 in the hammer, but he's training and coaching at the same time. So this is a great asset. And then we have Joyce Matawaka on our staff, who is one of the most highly decorated female sprinters from the UK. I coached Joyce her last 4 years, and I've been able to bring her on as my assistant director as well as a coach. And then we have some young coaches. Our endurance coach is a very young but enthusiastic coach, and we have a couple assistant coaches that help out also. It's a system that we developed, that I developed in the mid-1980s, when we started to look at all of the traditions and what people had done over the years, especially how people static stretch before they go to competition. And through my research, I realized that static stretching actually turns the nervous system off. Well, you don't want to do this before you get ready to be explosive. And so we developed what we call the active dynamic warm-up, where we work on all of the biomotor abilities, all of the capacities you need to excel in athletics, strength, power, neuromuscular coordination, flexibility, dynamic mobility, endurance, all of these kind of things. And we put it into the warm-up that lasts between 20 and 40 minutes, depending on the activity of the day. And so this is something that now has been going around the world for the last 30 years and is becoming quite popular in different areas that I've had an opportunity to speak. There are rules in track and field just like there are rules in everything. And in my philosophy, my professional and my personal philosophy, I follow the rules. And so it's my personal belief, you have to know everything about everything, you have to do everything better, you have to take care of the details in order to achieve the high performance. I never have and never will tolerate any doping. Although this unfortunately has become part of sport worldwide. And although it's very unfortunate, the rules say that you should not use substances to improve your performance that are illegal. I think every country has gone through various types of stress and trials with these types of things. But continued vigilance and testing and education of the athlete, but most importantly education of the coach, is the way we're going to fight against use of illegal drugs. Because when the coach doesn't know what to do to make the athlete better, the athlete gets frustrated sometimes, the coach gets frustrated, the bosses get frustrated, and then they think, okay, the only way to improve is to use illegal substances. Education of the coach in order to keep the athlete continuing to grow, continuing to increase their performance without illegal drugs, this is the way that federations can help fight against this bad thing that we have in our sport.